And we made it to day 5, the final day of learning Jira in just 5 easy days. So let's jump into some more advanced topics. And today I'm going to show you the built-in reports. I'm going to show you how to find data, how to visualize your data, and then we're going to do a bonus of automation rules inside of Jira. So let's start off with reports because that's the easiest thing to get to. So inside of your Jira project, more specifically within your Jira board, go over to your reports. Now keep in mind that each board is going to have its own independent set of reports. So these are not aggregated at the project level, but rather at the board level. So keep that in mind. And we have a lot of different boards. Now, if you are ever going to take the ACP 620, which is a certification for creating Jira projects, then you do need to know these reports more intimately. But for this training, we're just going to cover the most important ones that I use on a day-to-day basis. We're going to start off with the Burndown chart. This is probably the most used report that I use. This report's not going to give me a whole lot of data because our project is so new, but essentially you can pick your sprint, pick your value. I would recommend you do story points, original time estimate, or issue count. I wouldn't worry about any of these other values. And then how do we read the report? Well, that's quite simple. If you remember from day 4, I told you before you start your sprint, make sure you have your story points in it. And especially if you're going to use the story points as your value, it's going to be super critical. So when you start your sprint, Jira is going to establish a baseline. It's going to tell you, okay, we have these many points. That's where we're starting off. And your idea is to burn down. You got to start at the top, whatever number you have with the total number of story points. And then as you move where to done, you only get credit when the item moves all the way to the far right column. But as it moves to done, then this item will move down and the red line goes down as you finish those points. Now, this particular report here has a gray line, which is going to be the ideal line. You want to follow that line. These little grid pattern is the weekend, so you don't care about the weekend, at least not if you're a healthy team, right? But it depends on your team culture. But yeah, so essentially we start off with our points. So as you can see here, we started at 15. This is how many story points we started off with. We had the 2, the 5, and the 8. And then we moved something to done. So it went down by 5 points to 10. It's kind of hard to visualize because it's all happening here, but you can see the dot here. Over time though, because you wouldn't be closing the work the same day, your bar comes out. And so the red line actually comes out. And the idea is that you want to hug this gray line as much as possible with that red line. And so as you burn work down, the red line goes down, you get credit. As you add work or reopen work, the line goes up. And you don't want the line to go up because it's called a burn down chart, not a burn up chart. And so you'd want to minimize your scope changes and you want to minimize your reopens. Obviously, it's going to happen because it's part of life, but just know that you don't hit your goals if you burn up or scope change. You want to be burning down. And then at the end, it'll tell you how many story points you are left with when everything is said and done. So that's the first report. I'm going to go to the next one that is very helpful, which is the sprint report. And so this is a good summary view. It gives you the burn down chart again, but you have different data, or at least it looks slightly different. Our sprint report, again, we can pick a previous sprint. I only have one sprint to go off of. You can change your metric here. But what's more important when this thing decides to load is that it's going to tell us the total number of items that were completed, and then the total number of items that were added to the sprint and the total number of items that were not finished in the sprint. So very important information to have because this is going to help the team become more accountable. It's going to tell them just the trends that happen over the sprint, which is over the period of that 2 weeks, right? So it's not just a day-by-day play, but a good summary view of everything happening in our particular sprint. So let's see if we can get Jira to cooperate with us here. As awesome as Jira is sometimes she doesn't like to play very well. Here we go. So here's that sprint report, which again is that burn down, but the magic is in the bottom. So we're going to see our completed issues, and this should be work items. Atlassian is going through a transitionary phase right now where issues used to be, or work items used to be called issues. Now they're called work items. So this should say completed work items. Atlassian, get it together. And then we have our work items. Again, Atlassian, hurry up and catch up. Work items not completed, and then this little star indicates an item that we pulled in. So this is double bad, right? This is issues that were not completed, bad, and then this is extra bad because this wasn't even part of the plan and it got pulled in. So you want to keep a careful eye on those. The velocity chart is another great one that I love. The velocity chart here is going to tell you two main things: how many story points my team started off with, right? We started with 15, and how many they finished, the green. And so this number, the completed, should be within 80% of the committed. So in this particular case, it's 50%, about 50%, and this is not good. You do not want your team to be finishing 50% of the committed work. So in this particular case, I would go back into my retrospective and try to figure out what happened with my team so that we can see how we can do better for the next sprint. But also, this 15 is going to give us a good indicator for the following sprint. Maybe we need to plan for less. Maybe our sprint plan needs to be closer to 10 because our team was able to do 7. Now, this will do trends over time. So over 2, 3, 4 sprints, you'll get a better representation. All I will tell you from experience is that the less you challenge your team, the less challenged your team will be, and the lower the bar becomes. So challenge your team and push high. All right, and the last report we're going to cover is this cumulative flow diagram. I like this report. I like to call it a sand chart. It's supposed to look something like this, but essentially this shows you trends over time. There's very few reports here that show you trends over time. This is one of my favorite ones. And essentially the purple is the work that is completed. It'll show you here. And then the green, teal is the in progress, and your orange is your to do. And the name of the game is for the teal to stay pretty consistent. You want the teal to be pretty consistent over time. You want your to-do to be pretty consistent, but you want your done to eat. You want your done to grow and grow and grow and grow because that's showing your team's progress. So if that description doesn't happen, then you got to evaluate what's going on. All right, so those were the reports. Again, there's a lot of other ones. I encourage you to go check them all out. I don't particularly use any of the other ones, but the ones I did call out, those are the ones that I use daily. Now, how do we search for work? Well, if you go to the all work section here, let's just say that we want to find everything that's assigned to me. And so I can go here and do current user, which is going to be a filter just for me. And this is going to show me work that's just for me, right? Now, this is great. I can always come into the all work or go to the search, and I can click, if I zoom out a little bit, I can click on view all work items, and it'll take me to basically the same thing. But the name of the game here is that using the all work section, we can search for our work. So maybe we want to find everything that's unassigned. And so we can have all the unassigned work here, and we can save this. We have the ability to save our filters. We can call it unassigned work. And then we have a description that we can put in optionally. I hardly ever put descriptions, but we do have the ability to set viewers. So at a minimum, I would do the project so that anybody who has access to your project has the ability to see your work here. Because if you don't do this, then the filter is going to be private and only you're going to be able to see it. So at a minimum, set up for your project. If you don't care to see your data, if you're trying to show your data to an executive or a CEO or something like that, do my organization. It's going to cover your bases a lot better. So I'll do my organization for now. And then editors is who can make the modifications of the conditions of the filter. I usually leave that as private. I don't want other people messing around with my filter. They can go make their own filter if they want to. So now that I made a filter, it's going to show up in my filter section over here on the left-hand side. So if I go to my filters, you can see unassigned work. This is the one I just made. And more importantly, I can now share this filter. So I can actually take this URL, share it with people. There's also a share button over here on the top right. I can put people's names in here, or I can just copy the link and share it with other people. Again, keep in mind that filter detail, you got to make sure you share it, because if you share a private filter, you're going to have a lot of people mad at you. All right, so once you have the filters, right, we have this, then we can go to our dashboard. So I'm going to collapse my filters over here. I'm going to go to my dashboards over here on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to go to this executive dashboard that I have. And this is the kind of stuff that you can do. You can basically take your filter, right? So I can go to edit here and I can add gadgets. I recommend as a homework assignment, try one of each. Try every single one of these gadgets. You're going to love some, you're going to hate most, and you're going to want to probably buy something better, because out of all the features of Jira, this is probably the biggest feature that sucks next to Rovo and AI. Like Rovo and AI is not there yet, but this is the longest feature that Atlassian has had that just sucks. All right, so we're going to look up our unassigned filter that we made. Here it is. And we're going to do by priority, right? Because I don't want to have high priority items that are unassigned. So I'm just going to show basically you'll see in a second, but it's going to be based on the priority. Now, the limitations here is if these are basically any fields inside of your Jira, if you don't see it, you're going to have to buy a plugin. These plugins are very limiting. Again, I'm not over exaggerating when I tell you that these things suck. This is one of my least favorite features of Jira, but here it is. As you can see, out of all the work that's unassigned, currently all of them are set to medium. Now, the reason that I think this is important is because let's imagine that I had this item right here that was of super high priority, right? Let's just say this one was critical and it has to get done. Well, when I'm looking at my dashboard, it might not be obvious to me inside of the backlog view, but here now I know that I have one critical item and I can click into that one item and now go take action. I can go assign it to somebody. I can assign it to myself. Whatever needs to get done, we can now mobilize and do something about it. But it's harder to visualize over here, and it's much easier to visualize when it's yelling at you on the dashboard here. So that recaps how to basically create filters and how to visualize those filters on your dashboards. Now, if you don't create the filter first, your dashboard is not going to be very effective, as most gadgets over here on the right do depend on a filter existing first. So do yourself a favor, create the filter first and then the dashboard. Now, when you do create a dashboard, you do have the same sharing capabilities as the filter. So you do want to make sure you give it a name and then share it with your organization as well, or with at least the project at a minimum. Now, the editors on the dashboard, I'm a little less picky, but most of the time I'm still going to keep it private because I don't want people just messing with my stuff. So click on save, share it, do whatever you want there at that point. Now, the last thing I want to show you is within your project, you do need to be a project admin. So this is going to be a little bit more advanced. This is probably the most advanced thing I'm going to teach you in this whole Learn Jira in 5 days. But if you happen to be the project admin, you can go to your project settings and there's an automation section here. And this automation section, I'm not going to actually build a rule, but I'm just going to show you the different templates. There's a lot of templates that are already pre-built by Atlassian. And so I recommend you take a look at these, and as a homework assignment, try to put these automations into action. And so click on one of these items, like for example, we want to schedule a recurring ticket. So what this does is every single Monday at 9 a.m., I'm going to create in this project a new task, and it's going to be called whatever I want, and I can put whatever description I want, and I can set any other field that I want. And when I click on next and when I click on turn on rule, every single Monday at 9 a.m., this new task is going to be created. Now, this is just one example of how these work. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see more detailed videos on automation rules, because I can spend another Learn Automation Rules in 5 days series as well. And so let me know if that's something that's interesting to you. But I just wanted to give you a teaser of automation rules because these are game changers. These take your Jira skills to the next level. But this is way, way, way more advanced than anything else we've covered in this course. So I just wanted to leave it here for food for thought. But definitely check out the templates, because the templates are going to give you good inspiration for what's possible. And you just simply click on them, turn them on, and then they're working already. So that's it for this. You have officially learned Jira in 5 days. And just to recap, day 1 was all about the basics. Day 2 was some navigation. Day 3, we started getting into an actual Jira project or space. Day 4, we got into the agile and the mechanics of using Jira. And then day 5 was all these power features, right? These dashboards, filters, automation rules. So follow this plan and you're going to go from 0 to confident in just 1 week. And if you want me to dive deeper into any of these topics, let me know down in the comments. And if this video helped you, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share it with your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, your bosses, everybody that you know that's struggling or is using Jira. Share this video, this series of videos with your team. This series was made so you can catch up and get comfortable with Jira really, really quickly. So thank you for watching and happy Jira-ing.